In today's video, how to discipline our imagination so that we can understand the world. Hello and welcome to another video. I come to you from my emergency basement here with another video about international politics, and today's video is especially important because I want to give you a framework into which you can put all of the theories we're going to be talking about for the rest of the semester. You will of course remember from the previous videos that we've talked about how the study of international politics begins with people imagining a world into existence. But we can't just think up any old thing and say this is a viable starting point for a theory of international politics. Although we do need to use our imaginations, and although scholars who've created theories of international politics have used their imaginations, this has not been a random or undisciplined process. In fact, we can group all of the theories that we're going to study in international politics into one of 5 categories. And today, I want to explain to you what those 5 categories are. How do we know which category to put a theory in? Well, that's given to us by the answer to the following question. What is the starting assumption of that theory? Imagine the world looks like this. Imagine the word this in italics. We've got to replace the this in imagine the world looks like this with a starting world-building assumption. And that starting world-building assumption is going to be drawn from a range of possibilities that are defined by the 5 categories I want to talk about in today's video. Category 1. Human nature. The first category of world-building principles comes from the idea of human nature. This is essentially a philosophical question about whether people are fundamentally good or bad. When you reduce people to their essence, are they friendly? Are they cooperative? Are they reasonable and empathetic? Or are they unfriendly? Are they hostile? Are they completely self-centered? Do they want to hug you? Or do they want to fight you? The classic philosophical device for speculating about human nature is known as the state of nature. The state of nature is a thought experiment that's beloved of philosophers. It doesn't describe any literal scene that's happened in human history, but it is a very, very powerful act of imagination for creating a world, for building a world. In the state of nature thought experiment, we have to imagine that human beings have been removed from civilized society. In fact, they've never experienced civilized society. They are not bound by and have never known systems of law, systems of community, modern buildings, modern infrastructure, all of the accoutrement of modern life. In this state of nature, we imagine that we come across a human being deep in the forest. This human being has never encountered another of its kind before. When we stumble across this human being that has never known society before, and this human being sees us, do they recognize us as one of their kind? Do they feel warm and empathetic towards us? Do they approach us with love and affection? Some people think they do, and for those people, there is an innate goodness in human nature. Society, civilization, peaceable conduct in international affairs, these are nothing more than the reflections or the enhancements of a basic core innate goodness of human nature. Other people think when we come across this uncivilized human, deep in the forest, who's never before seen another human being, when we reveal ourselves to this human, that human is quite likely to attack us viciously, to jump upon us and to beat us, to take what we have, to behave in a selfish, aggressive, and even violent manner. For those people, human nature is essentially bad. It's self-centered, highly prone to violence. If we do see peace in international affairs, that's only because the inherent badness, selfishness, aggressiveness of human nature is restrained by some either system of laws or system of incentives, or simply by the deterrent fear that we can inflict upon the other human being more pain than they can inflict upon us. Category 2, the environment. Now, by the environment, I don't mean the ecology of trees and the sky and the seas and clean air and the other terms that we might associate with the notion the environment. I mean the environment as a system that influences the units, the things that exist within that environment. This is a category of world building that doesn't focus on individual actors such as people or states, but focuses upon the aggregate circumstances that those people and those states exist within. In theories of the international environment, what individual states do isn't that important. We should think of states as like ships on the sea. If the sea's rough and choppy, the ship is going to be tossed around. If the sea is calm, the ship can steer its own course. And certainly the intentions of the captain of the ship are often overridden and overcome by the power of the sea. The circumstances in which states exist are what determines what happens for this group of theories. In the third group of theories, the world-building principle is focused upon the making of decisions. The key actor for people who make theories at this level, who build theories based upon this principle, is the individual decision maker, who is often faced with choices. They can choose to go left, they can choose to go right. They have to make these choices in circumstances where they often don't have all the information. They themselves might be imperfect beings. They certainly don't have the computational capacities of a supercomputer. And so international politics for people who work within this third category of theories, this decision-making category of theories, is about individuals solving problems. The state, to these people, makes its choices depending upon the performance and the capacities of those people who lead it. The fourth type of theorizing focuses on the influence of technology. For people who build worlds based on the principle that technology matters, the level of technological development, both in specific regions and at specific points in time, shapes the dynamics of international politics. To think of this at the most basic level, before the development of modern technologies of communication and transportation, it took a very long time to get from one part of the world to another part of the world. That obviously impacted the way that states interacted with each other when they were not geographically located close together. We hear a lot of talk nowadays about an international system that is globalized, that is interconnected by communications technologies and transportations technologies and things like financial markets, so that what happens in one part of the world really does immediately impact what happens everywhere else in the world. This kind of tightly connected world is obviously going to operate very differently from a world that is not connected at all by these kinds of technologies. To give another example of a theory of international politics that focuses on the influence of technology, think about how important the development of different weapon systems have been to the way that international politics works. As we'll see in a video coming soon, the development of new technologies like the railroad and the machine gun materially shaped the way that international relations worked in the run-up to the First World War and in the conduct of that war itself. Similarly, the development of nuclear weapons by the United States at the end of the Second World War not only played a role in decisively ending that conflict, but really shaped the next period of human history beyond that, especially once the Soviet Union also developed nuclear weapons. And so there we have it. 4 categories into which we can slot our theories of international politics, the theories of international politics that we're going to be looking at very soon. The categories of human nature, of the international environment, of the nature of decision making, and of the influence of technology. But wait, I promised 5 categories, and I've only gone through 4. What is the secret 5th category? Let's find out next time.